Small disclaimer, you nerds like puns and I'm going to give them to you. Last time was weapon themed and now it's cosmetic themed. Each class has a punishing story to go along with it, so get ready, set, go. Scout time! Rise and shine and get ready to batter up, you troublemaker. I get the feeling that you think you're a big elfin deal, like this is your hero's tale and you got a league of superfans. Well, I know you'd love to get some booty time going out on the floor and being a rap battler. You have it all backwards. Listen, El Jefe, people will be flipping their tribbies and readying their tooth kickers if you don't stop flip-flopping around and become a real fast learner. You need to become the Front Runner Express, a real track terrorizer, or they'll be leaving you in the dust. Ever see Flight of the Monarch Butterfly? It's real pretty, made for buck-turning all-stars like you potentially could be, but if you don't step up your game, all you're going to be doing is loafing around on the long fall down. So you ready to bolt, boy? Good. Now step one to being the big man on campus. You gotta look beastly, and here's my cheat sheet on how to do so. You'll be one cool cat sailing like greased lightning by the time I'm done with you. You see that macho man over there? Yeah, he looks more like a flapjack to me. His name's Hermes, hardly even a weight room warmer. Bet he plays too much Beat Boy. I bet we can make him faceplant on his gross fawn-like feet. A total Halloweener, right? Well, don't even get me started on that horrific head of hair. Woman ain't hounded for that guy. Go up to that chuckle nut like a pomade prince. Don't show him any thirst for blood, because if I've learned anything about opening fights, there's always claws and infect. What? No, I know what I said. Who's the master here? I'm your Argyle ace in the hole. You ain't nothing but a ticket boy, hardly even my runner's warm-up here. Now, you see those crazy little legs over there? See how squid-like they are? Bring him down a little. Call him a squirtin' cephalopod. Then ask him what's wrong with his alien cranium. He'll probably get a little mad. He might even be a wild card because you won't Xeno suit on him. Now, when he raises his foul fist, you go for the headhunter and turn that stupid head of his into a nugget noggin. Trot up to him and show him your true Brooklyn booties like the true Boston boom bringer that you are. He won't be able to keep up, bringing so much heat that they'll need a thermal tracker to know where you are. Yeah, I know, and you might think that you're a real fortunate guy to be my co-pilot as I show you how it's done. But let me just say that my moves are like a Saudi shinobi. So here's what I advise a cadet. After you're done wedging his britches, you can be my bat backup, my real bonk baddest backup. You're already hot on my heels, I can tell. Yeah, I can only see you going up from here. From lowly squire to a pestering jester to wingman to air dog. Yeah, everybody will be so attached to you. It'll feel like you're wearing a lightning lid for chick magnets. And so Scout followed my advice and became known as Bonk Boy of the Wolf School, gaining enough money to fill his Dillinger's duffel and eventually even getting a champ stamp and all sorts of triad trinkets. But such lessons came at a cost, for Hermes was the son of a legendary baker boy who was part satyr and eventually learned his own moves, giving Scout the wacko to turn him into a Scout Shacko, the sad little shell of a man who turned into a little drummer man. The old Paisley Pro turned in his airborne attire to lead the new life of Rita by choice. Legend has it by night that he became a crook combatant and butler by day, but he still skulks the heights of his old stomping grounds as the Two-Fort Knight. Soldier! Gentlemen, rise and shine and get your hands out of your secret stashes. I will be a sergeant today, and this will be a challenge worthy of a chieftain. We are some grenadiers today, defiantly going against our head honcho. We'll be turning our armored authority into nothing more than exquisite brain bucket. And as your team captain with the fanciest dress uniform, this makes me furious that it hasn't already been done. But sadly, we are on a shoestring budget planned by the soft men in the idiot box. They've been stalling our efforts by impaling our duties and sending our jobs down the steel pipes to other branches. They say that our branch doesn't even exist anymore. Well, let's prove them wrong. I won't lie, men, this will be a lucky shot on whether or not the— What the— Battle Bob! Just what in God's name are you doing with the professor's pineapple and the captain's cocktails? This is no time to be eating like a war pig. Get those pansy fruits out of that tin pot and put on your crafty hair and help us organize this deployment at once. Ah, where was I? Right, we need our blessing by the All-Father Zeus, Buddha, God, and George Washington if we want to succeed under normal odds. But listen up, doughboys. I have a plan. When that cloud-crashing compatriot Admiral Withersby dons his drill hat, we initiate the hornblower and release Lieutenant Bites, the little rebel rouser, into the field. We'll meet by the Founding Father by the Valley Forge statue and give the god a whirly so strong he'll look like a zipper face. While he's ruffling the general's freedom feathers, we'll plant some grub grenades by the statue. They'll have so many bugs crawling up their face by noon, it'll be a bristle crisis. Now, chances are Lieutenant Bites will bite the dust, so we'll need our hidden dragon plan to come in. I've contacted my pin pals who work with Voodoo Souls to bring in step 3. Now, listen carefully, slowpokes. We head over to ground control and get ready to antagonize the Big Daddy. Oh yes, we're going after the lone survivor on the War of Smith himself, the Condor. He's rumored to still be wearing his battle hood and comfortable wool battle socks to this day. He even wears his Antarctic parka in 110-degree weather. We ready our ghoul-grabbing gear to prevent self-contamination, and like a supernatural stalker, we will gingerly sneak into the facility through the vents so we don't make those gilded guards out front, toy soldiers that they really are, aware. We will drop the soul straight into his helmet and make for the Screaming Eagle maneuver. In his cold snap coat, we'll watch him transform into a monster and likely attack the diplomat to Hawaii. Then we'll steal his socks and say something funny like, "Socked and loaded, and you won't catch any flack if you hire us again." And then he'll realize that he was mistaken for ever letting us go, and like the great gift bringer of the North Pole, he'll realize how handy we are. Pyro section. Once upon a time, in a far more magical land, was a respectless man who was an attendant of an old Guadalajaran stockbroker. This sight for sore eyes, our whiskered gentleman attendant, was what they called in the business a dead cone. For while he could prance with pride that he had a job that he would work for until his last breath, he had no real apparent aspect of what work was. But bless our fallen angel's heart, he did indeed try. To look more fancy, but not wanting to smoke himself, he bought a bubble pipe, and for the winter months he bought a cozy head warmer. To keep up off his spirits, he'd play on his self-titled burning bongos. He tried to be everybody's little buddy, and to this cremator-turned-finance, his conscience was clear. But all his boss heard was an infernal orchestra that shook his old rattled tribal bones. "Be gone with you, young fry master! I don't need a flamboyant loon trouncing around in my office any longer!" Heartbroken, our wayfinder gathered his belongings, most of which looked like a scrap pack, and without much else fuss, he left. But this transgression awoke a deep fire within him. As all do secret psychotic people, he planned to remove his boss from work permanently. So he began to plan a coffin kit, as one might plan a big surprise party. The first thing that he needed were some rail spikes to bolt the door closed and entrap him like one in a bird cage. Next, a plumber's pipe to redirect the water. Then he'd corrode the pipes to become a rusty reaper. With his scrap sack in tow, he crafted a tiny metal slug, which he would place where the boss did walk every day without worry, and cause tetanus. Next, he'd watch his boss like a devoted centurion to keep track of any adjusted moves or new hires. After working with him for so long, he had a genuine hive mind with him. His old muchacho wouldn't be getting past his special eyes so easily. After all, a party must be planned perfectly to procure the best potentialities. Watching his boss and thinking it a bird, his carrying companion left the building at exactly 6 p.m. 3 days later, just as he knew he would. Like a beast from below, he lurched from the bushes and used his spare key and entered the building. Our man, or more like a creature from the heap at this point, began to work. With his death support pack, he globbed the window shut and flooded the toilets with a grisly gumbo using the items from the fridge that had never been cleaned. Our macabre man ripped up the floors and walls and changed the piping to redirect it all to the sinks. Hollow-headed with murderous desire, he donned a vicious visage and sealed the remaining doors. All that was left was the entrance. The plan was simple. Let his boss die as he lived, working in hellish conditions. He wrapped some rope around a tree and weakened the base. When the boss would pull the door closed, there would be a tiny timber. He'd be the trailblazer to his own death. Stuck inside, he'd likely call to free him as employee of the oomph. Even fired, most surely would. With a head full of hot air, wouldn't even have anyone else to call, and stuck inside, he'd eventually have to go to the bathrooms, which would cause a Neptunish nightmare. And he'd rail the door closed and appear in the window with a face of mercy and Crusader's getup, pretending to want to torch the door open. But this Firefly was a fearmonger, and he was a strong enabler of the wartime warmth. When he was sealed in airtight, a simple match from the fumes would be all it would take to turn his boss Rudolph into a flame deer. That would teach him not to let a handyman be fired for handling the job. And when all is said and done, he'll take a napper's respite and put up a wicked facade. Demo Man! Once upon a time, my wee lads, there was a stovepiper Scotsman in Glengarry who wanted to make his own crowning achievement worthy of the town. At the age of 6, he began a true Demo Man's journey. He approached a hustler, a hallmark of scum and villainy. He'd read a book about warriors, so like a samurai, he tried to fight him. But the fight was ceremonially insulting. With that plan failing, he wanted a more real to Groot experience, so he became a private eye. He tried to regulate the town of old mysteries, but all he ended up doing was falling flat on his face and kicking up a whiff of the old brimstone. With a Scottish snarl, he contacted the great spirit of Bauman's past, and in order to do it, he had to offer up 6 packs of beer. And he said, "Oi, why haven't me Demoman powers settled in yet, you snow-shoveling, squid-lidded, putrid, ethereal, sub-zero, bib-wearing, hand-me-down, Gaelic, tartantaloon, dust-catching parasite?" To which the great wise but drunk ghost of Bauman's past said, uncovering his hood of sorrows, Listen here, you bean baby day jogging, bucket hat wearing, wussido battery using, pickled paw dog haired, sober stuntsman. You're only 6 years old. Your self-esteem ain't even good enough yet because you're not even drunk enough to know that you have a drinking problem. And so the 6-year-old boy drank until the world was out of sight, and when he awoke, he somehow caused the Manhattan Project, and he was only 28 years old. Heavy. Tough guys talk very soft. We are the hard counters, the protectors, the dealers. We are familiar with coups and disasters. Strong men dread not, for we do not comp citizens out of their value. We do not see ourselves as first place. We put purity first. No one is born equal, but everyone deserves the same chances. Some are born like dragons, others end up like gym rats. I could have been a one-man army, and another life a mere outdoorsman. And of those same chances, we deserve the same chances to fail. But every day is a war ahead. Everyone is capable of tossing in the towel, but very few rise to become a gentleman. Some are born lucky and are risen to success from the hands of their fathers. Hunger is a constant force, and we mustn't be too afraid to be men. We gather our bare necessities, prepare for the borscht, and hope for the best. But we are strong men, not because of our strength, but of how we came to use it. Dictators cull the population, become the man of the house through their slick maneuvers, harry the crowds, barely missing their heads with a bullet buzz. We've no time to slack, we have gone commando. Tough men, we become the heavy lifters of life's leftover traps, so that the rat stompers are impeded and our people may grow unfettered by the goggles of war. They called me a little bear back in my early days. Friends, smaller but funnier, tried to call me El Duderino or White Russian. Didn't quite take, but now I do not think that bear suits me, for a heavy never rests until the job is done. Engineer. Well, I reckon since we're over halfway through that we can try to cap off here. Just joshing ya. We'll be mining right through all these hot engineer puns safe and sound. But even puns have an industrial nature, and you can't go big country without learning how to make them without going googly-eyed on these peculiarities. So I'll be your professor on the matter. We're no longer allowed to be winging it, so let's learn how to make clockwork out of these words. First thing you gotta do is push your pencil to the paper. Sorry to be a buzzkill, but it will require writing. Now, write down some words you like and try rhyming or separating them. For example, if a spy were into stupid memes, it wouldn't be a backstab, it'd be a backdab. Given enough practice, I presume you'll be a mastermind, so strong that you'll break everyone's last straw. I'm under the prospect that when you plug in your true potential, you'll timelessly top the charts. Now, before you get all flared up and gung-ho about it, listen very carefully. Being a grease monkey in a dogfighting world ain't no shame. Digging for gold reliably ain't no shame. Really saves a scotch in the long run. Because when you're entrenched in work, you gotta tune in and realize that you're in no danger of becoming a homeless Joe on the go. But if you're messing around, well, you ain't gonna have the tools of the trade to make sure that you don't become some hillbilly speed bump. I'd much rather that you become insulated in a task you do well, and have enough time to wield your own iron fist over your own life. Well, I've probably supported you spurring men long enough. I won't keep you until you're on life support, but it doesn't take a rocket operator to know that you're a flash of inspiration to the next generation. So get punning or get gunning, because the world don't slow until you've been given the road boot. Medic time! Step 1, raise the goggles. Step 2, align the knife with their bucket helm. Step 3, raise your physician's mask and follow procedure. Step 4, prepare for a grim operation. These steps after that are rather irrelevant. Sometimes you give them the sack and sometimes the medical field sacks you. It does not take an Einstein to realize that you donate to the investors of new medicine just to give results, regardless of how you got them. But here are my 9 biggest problems in the proverbial pipe. They call me foppish and blighted, mad even. I began to ask fancies and pants and patients if that was feeling better, but they still refer to me as a madden doctor. I even took up a ward and took a slick cut off of my own pay to procure more medical mysteries, but they still think that I am an alternative medicine man. I have given up on being a man of reason. It would seem that only the angel of death is on my side, and yet I feel like I've already pledged a nunhood to keeping patients alive, regardless of cost. Though perhaps it would not be too unreasonable to be a megalomaniac, as they call me. In the spirit of things, maybe the vesture of purity would suit an unknown man, well, perhaps publicly, such as myself. After surviving the burly beasts of finance, I have triumphed their gauze gazes and become a survivalist. I could even become a monarch, and with surgeons on my side, I could change all field practice to become much more practical. But I best lead by example. Very well. Step 5 should be that you shanka the patient with a knife. Grab your medication bag and ready the headlamp. Do not crush the capillaries, you will need them later. pour in the anesthesia, and send your patient on a temporary consciousness holiday. If you're a master, you will weather through the blood to find the patient having a plain old good time. Step 6, get a second opinion by holding up a mirror to yourself and the patient. The patient will uber-stern your situation. Do whatever needs doing, and if it fails, well, try to learn before you must fly from the scenes like Archimedes. Sniper! Righto, you're probably wary of puns and you think, well, there's only 2 classes left. Well, you're about to get your fixative of these puns because this professional's about to wear you dry like a trophy belt with this next session of puns. I'm no slouch when it comes to unveiling puns. I've marauded the English language out of anger just to boost my swagger and swat all those other snaggle-toothed boonies with the horrendous crocodile smile out of the outback. I'm an intellectual, and while you fruits are shooting the breeze, I've been double-crossing these words like it's been liquidated. It's a hoot being this cold of a killer, and while you songbirds have been running doggedly like bloodhounds chasing some tin-top troublemaker, I've been cobbering up some works. If my hat carried a bullet, every pun that I've ever made, it'd be a brim full of bullets. In no time, I'd be a chronomancer, while you deadheads would still be a hollow head case. But I might be coming off a bit too harsh, so let's put on an extra layer of confidence here so that you essential hunters out there don't lose your groundings by becoming bewildered with my garments. Let's uncloak the mysteries of the Australian puns. Step 1, be on a hair trigger for tactical poaching of puns. It might seem like a scaly way to scrape by, but a pun's a pun if they'd ever heard of one. Next, snow no sleeves, so you bare your arms so they can see it's just your cranial conspiracy and you're not just some deep cover operator. In lieu of this, while he's confused with your puns, stir yourself up and shoot his brains out so the last thing that he sees is the Lone Star at night. Oh right, you asked for puns, not how to murder unprofessionally. Well, you might have thought I was a sniper, but in truth I was always the spy. Fancy that, I've become the familiar face you all don't know and still want to catch a glimpse of. As the life of the party, I show no mercy when it comes to my charming self-made man features. From my roguish rule to my spectacles, I am Griffin everyone a hard time. But for all my cards I've up my sleeve or on my hat, you must know I'm always business casual. There's no need to cowl intimidation from your favorite and tangible undercover ascot. I'm from a triad of steeled stealthmen who look dapper in any disguise. From our cutthroat deals to out-provocating detective work, we run the blood banks across the Badlands. That is to say, we often make a swift deposit in our customers' backs. Formerly known as a spy by Frenchmen and all alike, those with a Napoleon complex would only dream of being a captain of the intellect industry like myself. To rise like the aviator assassin you wish to be, instead of peeling at your face pretending to be a lady killer while being about as appealing as a spy crab, begin lurking in the depths of discovery. Don't be a hat with no name, be a hat to kill for. Overcoat your successes with the big toppers. Be a showstopper, not some deadhead in need of an upgrade. When they hear of your exploits, be the reader's choice. Know that you used that pun once, but since it was all the way at the beginning, that previously brain-warming pun has worn off. Get yourself a pocket mother, a woman who would stay by your side, and in between your spats, make for the future, because while you may exercise the world of cretins, after dark you must make sure that you leave room for the future to never become one yourself. Congratulations to the following: Schneep for getting their first Australium, and to Jembo and Bonzo for getting their first YouTube channels started, and for reaching 30 subscribers plus already. And congratulations to me for spending over 100 hours writing and rewriting this stupid script. Seriously, you guys have no idea how many times I've started and scrapped and restarted this thing. It's pretty nuts. Consider letting me know about your own awesome accomplishments in the Space Barber Steam group. A link is in the description below. Also, if you like what I do and you want to support me, please consider checking out my marketplace.tf page or donating to me. A link to my shop or my donation links are in the description as well. All of my items in the shop are gifted or crafted by me as proof of support. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Please, stay tuned because more will be coming your way. Bye-bye.